When I'm thinking about ease of use, I'm not going to worry about scale right now. I'm just going to set that aside and think about, is there value added by making my instrument easy to use? Because in some cases it really is. If the time to interact with your instrument is minimized, or the chance for error, or even just the experience, there is an element of user perception. If it's just a pleasant experience to interact with that device, that may not have direct clinical value, but it still has value, for the success of your product. Then you can kind of focus on that and separate out all the other things. You can kind of get to the core of, where is my value in terms of making this an easy to use instrument? Because it might also be the opposite. That maybe your value add isn't making an easy to use instrument. Maybe it's just automating an existing assay and making that go faster. And your users are, they're technicians in a lab, like people who don't really need those cues, as well as somebody, who's like a common person working at home. Um, and then on the other side of that, one of those other lenses we talked about was, scale. Like, how does your product scale at quantity? And that's obviously a pretty different consideration from ease of use. So the idea was, you could go around these lenses and just sort of focus on that and think about, where is my value in this, this specific focus.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point, something that we haven't really talked much about, but like scoring and valuing these lenses. I mean, to me, like what's most important, right? And what should you focus on, right? So, to me, when you sit down and look at something you're trying to take to market, clearly product strategy is paramount. If you don't have a plan to get to market, you don't have a business.
Right.
Then I think probably a close second, not even getting to the technology side, is just, yeah, ease of use. I mean, you mentioned it, like maybe, ease of use. If your measurement isn't maybe, for example, more precise than your competitors, but your product is easier to use, there is significant value in that. But yeah, then that drives a whole host of, usability evaluations you need to do, should do, to show that even if you cut some steps out of prepping your sample, running your assay, that you still get the result you're looking for, compared to your competitors. So for real ease of use, for sure, ease of use is, one of the key lenses we want to look at, and ask key questions, important questions, to our prospects, early on.
Or you could think about it in a converse sense, where thinking about specifically ease of use helps you to suss out whether that's not a priority you should have, right? So
Right.
it's tempting to think, everybody wants a nice user experience, a nice user interface, it's sort of Apple like touchscreen interaction, and nice GUI and everything else. And those things are great to have, but they do require investment and resources. And it may not be the area where you're gonna get the most value out of that investment.